to work. So
Okay.
now it's showing my untidy desk.
So I'm going to, I just started recording,
Okay.
and so we should be live. I'm not sure how many people will join us today, but I think the important thing is that we get this recorded and then we can share it.
Okay. And look, even if we only help one person.
Yep. Well, I know there's people that in the LinkedIn audience that I really talk to that are interested in this, but with so many different time zones,
yes,
you never know what's the exact right time.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So let's get started.
Okay.
So I'm David Saphir for those of you who are watching, and I deal with cash flow. I've been advocating cash flow management for years, and that's what I work with companies on, is helping them developing cash flow management systems. In today's age, we're dealing with the coronavirus. People are just realizing now how important it is to have money coming in and money going out. And that's why I thought of the first person I thought of when I thought about people saying, how do we collect our money, is Jan Reeves, because she is an expert on collecting money. Jan, do you want to tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yes, well, hello everybody, I'm Jan Reeves, and I show essentially SMEs, so small business owners and small organisations, how to get their invoices paid on time without upsetting their clients and customers. So, shall I tell you how I came to do that? Oh, I've lost you. Okay.
We've got a delay going on.
Oh, okay.
And so I don't know, do you have a phone going on as well?
No.
Okay. So I'm going to turn down my volume because I might be picking up something. And maybe you can turn down your volume so we're not picking up each other's chat.
Okay.
Okay. Are you hearing that repeat as well?
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll keep going. So
okay. So how I came to do this?
Yeah.
Well, I actually started. I had quite a long career in the UK before I came to Australia, and I worked essentially for multinational organisations, really getting their money in as fast as possible, because they had enormous enormous invoicing, millions and millions of pounds, and so it was very important for them to get that money back quickly.
So how did you go from millions of pounds to, I don't know, hundreds of pounds?
Okay, because when I came to Australia about 30 years ago, and so after a couple of years, I started an employment agency which specialised in finding the sorts of people that I had been to work in multinational organisations. And so I suddenly became a business owner. And like most people that go into business, I didn't really have the first idea how to run a business, but I knew I had to make sales. So I was so focused on sales that even with my experience, I didn't want to ask customers to pay. Yeah. And so
going from a big company to a small company wasn't really intuitive, even though you had all those skills in a big company.
Yeah. And and because I didn't ask customers to pay, towards the end of my first year, I had so much money owed to me, and mostly by one client, which, I got to realise it's not a good idea.
Right.
But suddenly that client got taken over by another organisation, and their bank account was frozen. So they couldn't pay me.
Wow. So I'm going to jump right now into coronavirus mode. Okay.
Yes.
Because what you dealt with, people are dealing with today.
Yes.
They probably have clients whose, whether the account is frozen or just no money, it's about the same thing.
Yes.
So what do you do? What did you do, and what can people do today?
Okay, well, what did I do? So I'll just say, first of all, that getting paid is not about businesses paying you, it's about people paying you. Even if it's a large organisation, it's a person that organises your payment, unless it's absolutely huge and it's done automatically. But even so, there's a person involved. And so what my whole scenario taught me, which is what could be useful now, is I had to build relationships. I had to communicate and build relationships particularly with that client.
But a client, if it's a big client, there's all sorts of people. A smaller client, it might be more obvious. Who exactly did you build the relationship with?
Well, with the person that had placed the order with me.
Oh.
Yes. And so by building on that relationship with them and explaining my situation as well, because I was going to go broke. There was no doubt about it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Then over a period of 2 weeks talking to them, they managed to send me a little bit of money and then a little bit more, which kept me going, and then a little bit more that kept me going. They managed to. And then I learned that, that's just not the way to do things for the future. Oh, can you still hear me? I think we've frozen a bit. Certainly, I can't hear you and you're not moving at the moment. Did you send me a message? No. Oh. Oh, okay. That's good. Okay, I just can't see or hear David. Maybe David, if you can hear me, perhaps you can ask me some questions in the chat box. Oh, you're there. Oh no.
Jan? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm sorry to you and to everybody if you're listening. What just happened is I am having internet problems. The internet, we're in the middle of the coronavirus issue.
Oh.
And the internet is not designed to have lots of people working from home. It's designed to have corporations. Yes. And so I'm actually now using a backup system for my internet.
Okay.
So, all right, I apologize. You had indicated you were just telling us about it's the people. You made a relationship with the person who contracted with you.
Yes.
And it was about 2 weeks. It took them to do what?
Well, I guess they worked on my behalf and they squeezed little bits of money out of the company that had just taken them over. They squeezed little bits of money out over a few weeks that helped me keep going. But it was only because I built the relationship. I was just completely honest. I offered to keep servicing the client at the same time. So in a way, we were in it together. The client and I were in it together, and together he worked on my behalf. Yeah.
So how does that relate to what people are facing today with lots of vendors? You had one large vendor, but other people
Yes.
might have multiple.
Yes. Yes. Well, what I'm suggesting that people do is just full on communicate with their customers, because, it's a really difficult time. Everybody's scared, everybody's concerned, and people want to talk about it. They do. And at this time, more than ever, I think maybe organisations are deserting their customers. They're not talking to them. And so we have a really great opportunity to talk to them at the moment. And the way I teach people to collect their money on time is all customer service based. It's never ever hard hitting or, baseball bats and so on. It's always by servicing the customer. And I've got a saying, which is, if people like you, they'll pay you. So it's communicating and trying to get just a little bit of money, maybe not all of it, 25%, 50%. And then, calling them, how are you? What are you doing? What are you up to? How do things look for you?
And taking the money that's available today,
Yes, absolutely.
and trying to arrange for a payment in the future, or do you schedule something, or it depends on the situation?
It does depend on the situation, but at this particular time, sometimes if a business is short of cash, but if you've got every faith in them, for example, you could set up some stage payments, every week for a month, and 25% for a month.
Okay.
But I think that's not always the best way. And I think at the moment, the best way is to just keep talking to people, just rather than, you can set it up in advance, but because we're in a really strange situation at the moment, I think talking to people is the way to go.
Okay. So let me just mention, we've got some people who've joined us. To those who are listening in right now, please, there's a Q&A. You can send us a question and we'll try to get to it and during the course of our conversation. So, Jan, what I hear you saying is it's not too late.
Oh, no, I don't think so. Look, I don't think so at all. And if we sit around doing nothing, we'll achieve nothing.
Okay.
But if we show care and concern for our clients, they're going to appreciate that. And our money is going to be the first in the queue. So I hardly ever suggest that we start talking to customers about our invoice straight away.
Okay.
I always suggest that we ask them how they are. How are they today? How was their holiday? How are they doing in this crisis? What are they feeling? And then build a little rapport, and then ask about your invoice. And again, probably not ask for payment of the invoice, but to ask that the invoice has got everything on it that the customer needs. And I'll tell you why I say that, because almost half of all invoices go out with an error. They go to the wrong person, the wrong place, they don't have the order number, something's missing, the calculation's wrong. So after asking about your customer and how they are and how they're managing, my suggestion is always to gently find out if your invoice is in the right place with the right person and it's correct.
So Jan, this is beginning to start to sound like one of the steps. You've got a free
Oh yes, I have.
starter guide, right, on your
Yes.
website?
Yes.
Okay. And it's janreeves.com, and I'm going to have that in the show notes.
Okay.
But people can go there and download these 5 steps, correct?
They can, yes, absolutely.
So let's pretend we're dealing with a new client.
Okay.
Yes, people will be getting new clients today and tomorrow, and if not, then the next week.
Yes.
So do you want to go through those 5 steps quickly to give people an idea of the process you're talking about?
Yes. Okay, so the first step is, and let's apply this to a new customer, but we can do this with an existing customer too.
Okay, so it'll still work. People are concerned about what they're going to do with their current receivables. You're saying it would work for current receivables as well.
Yes, absolutely. And so, and that is, but okay, so I'll apply it to a new customer, but we can use it for an existing customer too.
Sure.
So when we take an order, we need to set up an account for a client, and that's when we start to build the rapport, because we ask them, where the service or goods need to go, who this needs to be invoiced to, what the customer would like to see on the invoice, and we ask them, what can we do for you apart from fulfilling this order? What can we do from an administration point of view for you? So we start to build the relationship then at the beginning of the build the rapport at the beginning of the relationship, because if we wait until the invoice is overdue, we're starting in a negative environment.
So what I'm hearing is onboarding is important. That's a buzzword, right?
Yeah.
And that being easy to do business with is part of what you're saying.
Yes.
And what I call reducing the friction of doing business together.
Yes.
That it's smooth and easy.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's step number 2? Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just say one of my other buzzwords, if you like, is we need to make it as easy as possible for our customer to pay.
Okay. Make it easy.
Yeah.
So does that mean you don't make them walk down to your office and hand you a check these days, but you give them different methods for paying? What do you mean by make it easy?
Okay, well, the next step in my 5 steps is all about invoicing, because so many invoices go astray or they go to the wrong person. And if they've got an error if the invoice has an error, and it could be minuscule, well, it gets put to the bottom of the pile. Because customers aren't going to call us and say, oh, your invoice is wrong. They're going to say, oh, that's not right. I'll come back to that.
So they go through all the good ones, pay the good ones, and then at some point they get the ones that are causing them problems.
So that's step 2. And step 3 is about finding out before your invoice is due for payment if it is actually with the right person, the right place, and if it's correct. So that's about contacting the customer before the invoice is due in the most customer service focused way. Oh, hello, Mr. Customer. How are you in this? What's your business doing to overcome what's happening at the moment? And by the way, have you got our invoice?
So what you're saying, it sounds like, is that person you put down when you first set up the client may or may not be right. It might not be the right person, and so you might have to find the right person.
Yes.
But it could also be that the email disappeared, or it's in their junk box, or a million things that happen, that they didn't actually get the invoice.
Yes, exactly. Okay. And yes. So that's step 3.
Okay.
And So, and then step 4 is about feeling confident, asking for payment. And I've just done 4 little Facebook lives about feeling confident, because there's quite a lot of things people can do. And the one that I've just done today is, actually, I haven't actually put it on, but the one I was writing today is, clients often say to me that they're concerned about ringing a customer to ask them for payment because sometimes, or previously, a client has asked them something that they haven't known the answer to. And then they've been embarrassed. They don't have a sentence, you know, they're not sure what to say. They feel that they should know the answer. And so I developed a little sentence, which is a real get out of jail. And it says, "Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Client or Mrs. Client. I'm not 100% sure on that. I'll just go and find out for you, and I'll give you a call back after lunch today. Will you be there at 2 o'clock? And then you look a bit like a customer service hero. You don't know, you're going to find out, you're going to ring them back. And so it gets you out of jail pretty quickly.
So you're now on their team. You're doing work for them. You're advocating for them with whatever is going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So they don't have to worry about it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's
because it's our money. So sorry.
Yeah. No, I was going to jump ahead and ask you about the 5th step. I'm just excited.
Oh yeah. Okay. So the fifth step is recognizing a red flag and taking action on it straight away. And that could be, you know, people just going on the missing list. I've got lots of strategies for getting hold of people that appear. But if all else fails, if all those strategies fail, can you still hear me okay?
I can, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I just had a message pop up. If all those strategies fail, then we have to take action straight away. Absolutely straight away. So that's one red flag. And what I suggest to small business owners is if they feel that the relationship is broken down and they've tried all the other strategies that I've got in my book and so on, then they need to take action straight away, and they always need quick access to a professional debt collector.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at some point it just breaks down to there's not an ongoing relationship.
Exactly.
If there is, it's going to get resolved because somebody's going to collect the money, and then you redefine the relationship.
Yes, exactly. But I mean, there's lots of things to try before it gets to that stage. But we need to do that. So that's why we need to start to talk to people before their invoice is due.
Right. Because
then by the time the invoice is due, we've got an inkling about if this is a red flag.
Yeah.
Because the longer an invoice, the longer an invoice is outstanding, the more likely it is that it's never going to be paid at all. So we need to take action fast.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. You know, we've spent about 25 minutes on talking about this in general. Is there anything else that you would say to people, either about in general about how to get paid or how to get paid in this crisis that we're facing right now?
I think
any other tidbits?
My best advice would be communicate, and always communicate, and always with best possible customer service. Make it easy. But in this particular situation, ramp it right up. Yeah. Okay. Just talk to people all the time. Ask them how they are.
Is it okay if I repeat this suggestion you gave, that people pay people. It's not companies paying people.
Yeah.
And so the relationship is going to get you a long way, which is what's formed when you communicate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How can people get a hold of you?
My website, which is just janreeves.com.
Okay.
Or I'm on LinkedIn as well.
Okay. And in your book, you wrote a great book, and it's called. Do you have a copy? Get paid. Okay. You want to hold it up so people can see? So she literally wrote the book on getting paid, folks. So and it's available on Amazon as a Kindle book or a hard copy.
Yes, it is, and the 5 steps are in here.
Okay. Or they can get started, right? If they don't want to wait for the book to arrive shipping by going to your website.
Yeah, definitely. And I will just mention to everyone that I know that collections can be a dry subject, and so I've tried to make it light-hearted and humorous, because it really is just about customer service in the right place at the right time, saying the right thing.
Well, that's great. Facebook, let me get your Facebook when we go off camera. I'll get your Facebook, whatever you're doing there.
Oh, yes.
And your LinkedIn, I've got your LinkedIn address as well. So as I post this, I'll be able to give all sorts of ways to get a hold of Jan. Well, thank you very much, Jan. This is our first, for me, a bunch of firsts happened today. Number one, you're my first guest ever. I'm glad there was only a 2-minute hiccup and not a half-hour hiccup. And we also, and thanks for your patience, and we broadcast live on YouTube. So that's going to be out there. We'll see how that goes as well, Jan.
Okay. Well, it's great to meet you.
Great to meet you as well. And by the way, Jan's in Australia, and right now it's 8:30 a.m.
No, it's 9:30.
9:30 a.m. and I'm in the mountains of Utah in the United States, and it's 4:30. So that was a fun thing to do. We've been emailing and on LinkedIn for a while. So thank you for being here in your morning.
Yes. All right.
Thank you. Have a great day.
My pleasure. You too.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.